When you talk about top Mets catching prospects, one name comes to mind, and it's Francisco Alvarez. But is there another catcher in the Mets system with just as high an upside? Let's talk about it. Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watsu-K99. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch these videos. If you enjoy what you're watching and you're brand new, welcome aboard. Please like and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. So today we are going to continue with our series, the Mets Prospect Profiles. There are going to be two more after this one. So today we're going to talk about the number 3 ranked prospect in the Mets system. He's ranked number 36 overall on MILB.com. Who am I talking about here? It's catcher Kevin Parada. Kevin Parada, 6'1", 197 pounds. He'll turn 22 years old this August. So let's talk a little bit about Kevin Parada and who he is and where he comes from. So it's interesting to know Kevin Parada played college ball at Georgia Tech. Now, when it comes to Georgia Tech and developing catchers, if you're a college football fan, then you probably know Penn State University is known for developing linebackers. They're known as Linebacker U. Tons of great linebackers have come from that school. Well, Georgia Tech is much the same way when it comes to developing catchers. Just some of the names that they've developed over the years: Jason Varitek, Matt Wieters, Joey Bart. Well, Kevin Parada can be added as the next one in line. So he played 2 years in college. He had a .929 on-base plus slugging as a freshman in college. .929 is amazing. Then in 60 games as a sophomore, he batted .361, hit a school record 26 home runs, and his walk-to-strikeout ratio was 30-32. So for every time he struck out, he basically walked one time as well. Very impressive plate discipline for such a young player. So then he declared himself eligible for the MLB draft. Now, that was for 2022. Now, it's interesting to note the Mets' history here. The Mets did not sign Kumar Rocker in 2021, the starting pitching prospect who is much ballyhooed. The Mets had drafted him. They sent him for his medical evaluation. They found some things with his right elbow that they did not feel comfortable. They cut his bonus. Rocker refused to sign. He went back into the draft and was subsequently drafted by the Texas Rangers. But because the Mets did not sign Kumar Rocker for the 2022 draft, they got an additional first-round pick. So they were drafting number 11. They were drafting number 14. Now, the number 14 pick was their own. It was used on Jet Williams, the infielder, who we've already done a profile on. But the number 11 pick was used to draft Parada. Now, he was going to be a top 5 pick. The reason why I think a lot of teams passed on him is because Parada, as a draft-eligible sophomore, had the option to, he didn't have to sign. He had that power to demand a certain amount of money, and if he didn't get what he wanted, he was going to go back to Georgia Tech, because he still had 2 years of college eligibility. And the Mets were able to come to an agreement with Mike Nickius, ironically. Mike Nickius, the former Mets catcher, you might remember him. He was actually representing Parada in these negotiations. So you have an old Mets catcher representing a new Mets catcher. Pretty cool. They agreed on a $5 million signing bonus. Now, in the bonus pool era of the MLB draft, this is the biggest bonus ever given to a player outside the top 10. The Mets believe in his talent, and they paid him accordingly. So he had his first pro season in 2022. It wasn't a very large sample size. He played for Class A St. Lucie, played in 10 games, batted .276, 1 home run, 10 walks, 12 strikeouts, and actually helped the St. Lucie Mets win their league championship. Let's talk about his scouting report, exactly what he does and why scouts are high on Kevin Parada. So with his pre-swing setup, he has a little bit of a bat wiggle, kind of a moderate leg kick, but one of the things he does very well is he covers the entire strike zone very well. He makes good contact. He can drive the ball to left field, center field, or right field. Doesn't have to be a straight pull hitter. His exit velocity topped out at 105 miles an hour during his brief Florida State League stay. But there is reason to believe it will continue to go up as he plays more. The expectation is this is maybe a 20 to 25 home run hitter. If everything goes well, maybe even 30. But 25 home runs appears to be a very reasonable expectation. And the fact that he has good contact ability and good power, this is a batter who could really settle into maybe the 5 or 6 spot in most lineups. Now let's talk about his defense. This has been a focus of his for a long time. Really, at Georgia Tech, this was a problem for him. As a freshman, he only threw out 12% of base runners who were attempting to steal bases. Now, it did improve from his freshman year to his sophomore year, but his arm strength is probably the weakest part of the game. It checks out as below average, but his potential with the bat is so good that he does profile as an everyday catcher in the major leagues. Now, once Francisco Alvarez and Brett Beatty graduate and become full-time major league players, Parada will be regarded as the top prospect in the Mets system. A year from now, he may very well be the top catching prospect in all of baseball. Now, where does he start the season? Well, with only 10 games in St. Lucie, I got to tell you, I still think he's going to go to Brooklyn. I think the Mets believe in him so much they want to put him against top competition early as possible, and he has the talent to do it. Maybe he can make it to Binghamton at the end of the season, but I think he's going to spend the majority of the season on Coney Island with the Cyclones. As far as an estimated time of arrival in the major leagues, I would go probably 2025. I think the biggest question with his career is, will it be Francisco Alvarez or will it be Kevin Parada who settles in as the Mets' everyday catcher? I think defense is going to have a lot to do with it. Whose defense turns out to be better. Whoever doesn't, hey, thank God for the DH. I always wanted the National League to be a traditional thing, but the DH is making more and more sense, and it does allow the Mets to possibly keep both bats in that lineup, and that could work out very well. So Parada's got his first full season of professional baseball coming up. He is going to be fascinating to watch, not just how he hits, but how he defends. So those are my thoughts on Kevin Parada. I want to hear yours. Leave them in the comments. Do you see him being the catcher of the New York Mets' future? Or do you see it being Francisco Alvarez? Could one of them be a trade chip? By the way, there will be a prospect profile coming up on Francisco Alvarez in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you back here with more content from you know where, the Wicker Chair.